It's actually kind of remarkable. Let's put Iran in perspective here. When the United States killed Qasem Soleimani, Iran's response was to lob a bunch of missiles into Iraq, and in the process blew up an Iranian airliner full of passengers, and at first refused to admit that's what happened, and only later says, yeah, our bad, we blew it up. They're not exactly competent. They're great at funding terrorist proxies. They themselves aren't necessarily the best at doing things themselves. So the Iranian president and foreign minister go to East Azerbaijan, which is an Iranian province, and have what is called a hard landing in the fog. And essentially, it was a helicopter crash in which the foreign minister and the president of Iran were killed. It has taken so long to try to recover them. The Russians and the European Union have both been enlisted into the efforts to try to rescue or at least try to find the wreckage of the Iranian president. Literally, the people of Iran have been celebrating. They've been shooting off fireworks and on social media putting up pictures of them popping champagne and toasting the death of Iran's leader. That's how hated the man is. Now, it is noticeable, and I want to give you the perspective. This is how Reuters covered Ebrahim Raisi. This is the tweet. Ebrahim Raisi, who died age 63, rose through Iran's theocracy from hardline prosecutor to uncompromising president as he burnished his credentials to position himself to become the next supreme leader. He's actually a mass murderer. His nickname is the Butcher. He tortured pregnant women, among other things. Brutal, brutal dictator. That's who this man is. Good, he's dead. Now, what's notable here is the conspiracy theory. Those of you who are Jewish, we need to have a chat for a moment. You Jews and I, your Calvinist friend here. I realize you guys control banking and you control Hollywood. You control the governments of the world through the Rothschilds and King Charles III. It's all a vast Jewish conspiracy. This is what I'm told. The internet tells me you Jews are in charge of everything. I even now have a Jewish boss. The Jews are in charge of me, apparently. But none of you Jews are as competent as the Mossad agent who assassinated Iran's president. And you Jews have holidays for like everything. You've got Yom Kippur, you've got all the crazy nights of Hanukkah, Rosh Hashanah, you name it. You need to have a new Jewish holiday for the Jewish Mossad agent who assassinated Ebrahim Raisi, because on news broadcasts across the Middle East, they have identified the assassin. It was not a helicopter crash. No. It was a Mossad agent who the Iranian press and the Palestinian press is referring to as Eli Copter. I'm not making this up. So someone on social media made a joke that it was a Mossad agent, Eli Copter, helicopter, who killed Ebrahim Raisi. And it began to make its way into Telegram channels. Telegram is an app on phones a lot of people around the world use. And on Palestinian Telegram channels, they began to refer to the Jew Eli Copter who assassinated Ebrahim Raisi. And by late yesterday evening and early morning, it was literally making it into news broadcasts in the Middle East that Eli Copter is responsible for the death of... No, I'm watching the newscast. It's in a different language, but I will translate this for you. The Telegram claims that the helicopter pilot is a Mossad agent and even gives his name, Eli Copter. Is this true or not? Of course, it's all part of the rumors that are circulating, but what seems to be is that the authorities have not yet confirmed this. Well played, whoever started this. Israel's now most infamous Mossad agent, Eli Copter, is responsible for the death of the individual. Now, there is a side tie here, and this is, I personally think, to Israel's shame. Israel has allied itself with Azerbaijan, which is systematically exterminating Armenian Christians. Israel is on the side of Azerbaijan, which is a Muslim ally of Israel. And the territory where the Iranian president went down is eastern Azerbaijan, which is actually a province of Iran near Azerbaijan that has some disputed territory with Azerbaijan, and that has fueled the conspiracies that maybe the Jews had something to do with it, because it's well known inside Iran that Israel and Azerbaijan have been allied in getting rid of the Christians in the western disputed territories of Azerbaijan near Armenia. This fueled some of it. Now, who's going to be the Iranian president? It appears the new president is Mohammad Makhbar. Mohammad Makhbar is the current. There are 12 vice presidents in Iran, not just one. But the first vice president is the guy who would step in, assuming Khamenei blesses him. Khamenei has already blessed him. Mohammad Makhbar is in charge of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's stolen funds. So when Iranians are tortured and killed, the Ayatollah steals their family money, and it gets invested into an account, and the head of the investment account is Mohammad Makhbar, who is the top vice president for Iran and the supreme leader of the 12 vice presidents. Now, this is very notable as well, because Mohammad Makhbar was set to be the Ayatollah. But by tradition in Iran, the presidents of Iran do not rise to be Ayatollah. So by becoming the careholder president, there's an election coming up and he's not on the ballot, Makhbar probably will lose out to Khamenei's son. If Khamenei passes the Ayatollah position to his son, then they have become the Pahlavis, the inherited Shah regime that the Ayatollah Khomeini tossed. And that in and of itself produces some destabilization for the Iranian regime by making the Ayatollah essentially a hereditary monarchy. The way the Ayatollah is supposed to work is supposed to be a direct descendant of Muhammad, but not a descendant from the same house. But what's going to happen as well is there's just going to be more butchery from Iran. I saw someone put up a tweet from some news organization saying anyone who cheers on the death of the president of Iran is clearly a Zionist. Well, count me then as a Zionist, although I'm not necessarily cheering the death of the president of Iran. I'm more mourning the goats in hell having to deal with him when he gets there. Poor goats. Events change things. And this is where I want to wind up in this winding portion here on dealing with this, what has happened. Events change things. 2 days ago, the president of Iran was in charge of the domestic policies of the Iranian regime, and Iran's foreign minister was with him and alive, and on behalf of the Ayatollah directing terrorist regimes and rogue entities around the world, and now they are both dead. And they are dead not because of Eli Copter Mossad agent or the Israelis. They are dead because they were in a helicopter in the fog. It's a similar situation to what happened to the American basketball player Kobe Bryant, in a helicopter in the fog. And in this case, there was a hard landing. The helicopter crashed and they died. And they probably died, frankly, not because of the helicopter. Well, nope. Just seeing the images, it appears, yes, a very hard crash into trees, trying to find a clear landing area, and it was very difficult. They crashed. The helicopter died, or the helicopter crashed in thick fog, and they died. And they might have lingered for some time, but it has taken almost 24 hours for anyone to get to the site of where the helicopter crashed. They had to call in the Kremlin. They had to call in the European Union. They needed help doing what began as a rescue operation and then a recovery operation. Events changed things. This is destabilizing to the Iranian regime because they were in the middle of a presidential succession, and the guy who's now going to serve as president was in line to be the Ayatollah's. The Ayatollah's health is failing, but because of precedents in the country, that becomes very hard to do. Things get shaken up in the regime now. The Iranian people are excited by this moment of weakness. You know who's really upset about it all is Ben Rhodes, Mr. Hamas from the Obama administration is lamenting all the people celebrating this, how terrible it is for the Middle East that this man died. Some such, I don't know. The guy is he's a hack for bad rogue regimes in the Middle East, and he's all upset, it seems, about the Iranian president dying. But events change things. Events change things. And this Biden administration has done a terrible job handling the events of the Middle East. This situation here, perhaps destabilizing things further, as Iran, increasingly paranoid, probably does ultimately convince itself that Azerbaijan and Israel together assassinated their president, something that does not appear to be true at all. But events change things. And what this administration has failed to grasp is that without some sort of coherent policy, it's not up for changing events. And this administration has no coherent policy in the Middle East right now. It has both punished and tickled the Houthi, punished and tickled Hamas, punished and tickled Israel. It seems to have no philosophy other than we need to take a poll to figure out what to do. That's not a philosophy that's being led around by the hecklers, and that further destabilizes the whole world at a time the world needs some stability. Events change things, and this administration is not up for the changing of events at a pace moving far beyond their expectations and far beyond their control. Without a governing philosophy for how they should navigate the Middle East, more chaos is going to come.